with Odell signing with the Los Angeles Rams, does this guarantee a Super Bowl trip for the Los Angeles Rams this season?
Absolutely not. My main reason for it is because look at what happened when he went to Cleveland. I mean, they thought they were going to be immediate playoff contenders. They thought AFC Championship. Shit, some people said Super Bowl. Granted, there were a lot of injuries that were kind of going on in Cleveland at the time, between obviously his injury, obviously tearing his ACL last year. Jarvis has been in and out of the lineup, and Njoku's been hurt. Nick Chubb's been banged up here and there. So, I mean, it's not the same as it is the Rams, but I don't believe that any individual player outside of a quarterback would really go out there and make you an immediate Super Bowl contender. Now, granted, the Rams have gone out and they have made a lot of moves over the last couple of seasons in terms of player personnel. They went out and they acquired Von Miller recently. Obviously, they went out and got Jalen Ramsey. They went out there and they got oh my God, who's Dante Fowler a few years back in a trade from the Falcons. So, I mean, you name it, it's been done, but they haven't really amounted to anything. Now, this is the first season that Matthew Stafford is here. So the offense has been absolutely on fire this last couple of weeks, other than last week having the, how do I word this, where they shit the bed against the Tennessee Titans. They just could not get anything going. I think that he adds a different dynamic. But I will say that it is an upgrade when you think about it from this point of view. They waived Deshaun Jackson, and they got OBJ. Immediate upgrade. Odell Beckham brings great catching capabilities, route running. Obviously, he's still got some speed. He gives you the dynamic to kind of expand your playbook in terms of some trick plays. We've seen him do some end arounds, some wide receiver screens, and some wide receiver sweeps. But, again, that all depends on what Matthew Stafford's going to be able to do. He had a bad game last week. Every quarterback does. But it's kind of similar to the Cleveland situation because there are a lot of mouths to feed. Cooper Kupp leads the league in receiving yards, and that's obviously Matthew Stafford's favorite target. Robert Woods has games where he's getting 9 to 12 targets a game. Obviously, Van Jefferson's a big deep threat guy for Matthew Stafford. And then you have Tyler Higbee in between the hashes and sometimes the checkdowns in the back out of the backfield. So I don't necessarily think that he makes them a favorite. He makes them a better team 100%. Any roster that he's on, he immediately makes them better. But to say that they're a Super Bowl favorite would be a stretch.
No, I completely agree with you, and here's why. So when it comes to Odell, he's still a huge dynamic playmaker at the wide receiver spot. But the thing that I'm going to be focused on with Odell for the rest of the season is, can he adjust from a player where it seems like the media is always focused around him? Like, he's always a figurehead for attention. And can he make the sacrifices to be able to get this team to possibly getting to a Super Bowl this year? So what I mean by that is it's like you mentioned, Cooper Kupp is clearly the number one target for Matthew Stafford. Robert Woods is probably second. You know, when you think of the amount of targets both Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods receive, you know, Cooper's getting probably close to 10 to 15 targets a game. You know, when you look at Robert Woods, he's probably getting somewhere in between about 6 to 10, you know, 10 being a stretch. And then you got Van Jefferson on top of that, who on occasion may get 5 to 7 targets. So Odell's going to have to be comfortable with getting a decreased number of targets compared to being the number one wide receiver that he was when he was playing with the Giants a couple years ago. So that'll be a point of emphasis for me moving forward when it goes to him. And another thing is can he stay healthy? Granted, we're halfway through the season, but Odell does have a checkered history when it comes to dealing with injuries. You know, he left New York after sustaining a pretty nasty injury before he ended up going to Cleveland. And then we saw last year where he missed time once again. He missed half of the season. He only played 7 games last year with the Browns. And even this season, he missed time. So I think health is going to be a factor with Odell moving forward. And when you combine all those factors together, it definitely guarantees that they are a Super Bowl contender. I think that kind of just goes without saying. They've been a Super Bowl contender without him to begin with. Now, adding him into that mix, I think it largely stays the same. I wouldn't say that this shoots them to the top of the NFC because I still have the Cardinals above them. The Bucs are right next to them. The Packers and the Cowboys, all of those teams are in the mix. But really, the Cardinals are the team this year that have been the better team out of the entire conference. So, does this move push them past the Cardinals? Potentially. So, obviously, these two teams will play again later in the season, like all divisional teams do. And that'll be the game I'm going to be kind of paying attention to the most, is going to be that Cardinals Rams game when they match up for the second time this season. Because if the Rams can beat the Cardinals, I think they have a much better shot to compete for a Super Bowl this year than without Odell. That's if they win. So I still think it's a great move for LA. It definitely keeps them at the top of the Super Bowl odds as far as I'm concerned. But to me, I think it's a stretch to say that it guarantees a Super Bowl appearance for the Rams at this current moment in time.